and 13 programs went under reviews. Now, the programs that went under reviews, just so you know, it was all of the graduate, post-baccalaureate certificate programs, all of the interdisciplinary minors, and then there were 14 actually academic programs that went through this process. I'm trying to think what else I want to say here. Now the results. Those of you who haven't already seen the results, let me just summarize them for you. We were given 4 options, so you'll hear what those options are. 14 programs were voted overwhelmingly, more than 2/3 of the committee voted to continue the program. Now, some part of that continuance was continue already the restructuring that you're undergoing, but basically 14 were given a relatively clean bill of health. I'd say a real clean bill of health. One program was voted to discontinue. That was the Appalachian Studies Graduate Certificate Program. 5 programs were voted on to restructure, and that meant restructure in various ways depending upon the program. Let it answer your questions about that, and to continue enrollment. And then 4 programs received kind of mixed results. There wasn't a 2/3 majority of the committee one way or the other. Most of those were to continue, but it wasn't clear whether it was continue or restructure continues. That's the results, and I'll be glad if you don't know the results already, I have the results here for each of the programs. So that's the background of what we did. We've been working hard, just as you do with students, and we think we have used very solid, deliberative processes and information to come up with the recommendations that we have. Now, and today what we would like to do is allow you to ask questions in however you wish to ask them. But I'd like 2 ground rules, just so we can get a lot of questions asked. One, I'd like the questions to be direct in less than 1 minute. We don't need a lot of speeches. We don't need any speeches, frankly, but we need questions, because we're trying to let you know as an academic community what we did and why we did it. The second ground rule is we really want to stay away from personal issues. This is a professional setting, and personal issues really don't belong here, or personnel issues. Personnel issues by the Commonwealth of Virginia laws we really can't talk about in a public forum. So other than that, we are open. I will direct the question to whomever is the most appropriate person on the panel to answer. And with no further ado, we have Trey Cotton with microphone. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, we have up here, we have more. So just raise your hand and we'll try to get the microphone to you. Yes, ma'am.
I actually have a speech. My name is Cynthia. I attended the academic review on Monday, March 23rd. The graduate certificate of Appalachian Studies was voted to be discontinued. Dr. Templeton brought erroneous numbers to the table. They were not amended even after we gave her correct numbers. And I would like to add to the public record the correct numbers for the graduate certificate. The graduate certificate of Appalachian Studies was started in the summer of 2005. It takes 2 years to complete Students usually take 1 class a semester. The first 2 completions were in May of 2007. Both were teachers. 6 other students completed the program in 2008. Only 1 of the 8 graduates is not a teacher in public school or college in Southwest Virginia. It was reported that an average of 0.45 students were enrolled over the course of 5 years. This is incorrect. The program has not been in existence for 5 years. The program has been in existence for 3 1/2. We have had 8 people to finish. This can be confirmed by the graduate college and registrar. Very sadly, Dr. Kniff did not make the correction, but let the committee believe this incorrect information. The program was begun at the request of public school teachers who are seeking an 18-credit endorsement in Appalachian Studies. Their certificate uses pre-existing classroom courses entirely with the exception of 1 directed study. It costs no additional monies. It does bring in tuition. And finally, and probably most importantly, it serves core values 13 and 8 as espoused in the RU 717 plan, being an active partner in the viability of our region, and education is a lifelong pursuit.
the more you clap, the fewer questions you're going to be able to ask. So if you can keep the demonstrations under control, that would allow more people to ask their questions. Thank you.
I'll be happy to answer your question. I was given the name at that meeting that you're referring to of 3 graduates. And I was told our numbers couldn't possibly be right because there were 3 graduates. I came back and checked this out with the registrar. This is Dr. Carson sitting right here to my left. And we did determine that was correct. There was only one issue. This is the issue. The federal definition of an academic year begins in the summer. It goes summer, fall, spring. That 3rd graduate that you referred to will be graduating in this next year's, the 07-08 year. Right. 08-09 year. And I can show you by name if you're really interested in that. The second thing is there was one mistake, and I had the registrar run this down, and I'll let him discuss that.
The data that we provide, of course, has to come from the students in the academic departments. When a student declares a major or a minor or change in major, adds a second major, they must first clear that through their academic departments, and then that information is provided to the registrar, where it is entered into our database, and then institutional research captures that data each day, and they do the analysis and summary of the data. So until we actually get a notification from the student by way of the academic departments, their advisors, there's no way we know to have that data entered into the database.
I would also like to discuss something else in regard to what you were saying. And I will say this very clearly because I have checked this out with the budget folks. Every dollar we showed on that statement comes out of state money. All salaries, all non-personnel costs, etc. Now there are some programs here that professor salaries and so forth are offset by grants. That is not the case with Appalachian Studies.
One of the things that has been most clear in this process is that there are a lot of people, a lot of students on our campus, a lot of faculty, a lot of people in the community who care very much about Appalachian Studies. And I get a lot of email, phone calls, so on. Please do not eliminate, discontinue Appalachian Studies. One thing I want to make sure everybody understands, you're not discontinuing Appalachian Studies. I'll explain what I mean by that. There were 2 academic programs under review by this committee, as I think, well, Dean Grady gave you the overview. One was the post-baccalaureate certificate in Appalachian Studies. We looked at all post-baccalaureate certificate programs. The other was the interdisciplinary minor in Appalachian Studies. Now, there's a lot I can say about that, but if you look at those 2 programs together, it's very, very obvious there are a lot of wonderful courses that do a lot, I think, to connect our students and our faculty to the heritage of this region. And there's some very significant issues about that, which we can talk about. The only thing that bothers me in all of that is that many of these courses do not reach enough students. Now, when we began our deliberations with the program review committee, it was my job, first of all, I guess I should say who I am. My name is Brian Kniff. I'm Dean of Humanities and Behavioral Sciences. It was my job as Dean and as a member of that committee to begin those deliberations by making my recommendation. And I made 2 recommendations. One was to continue the minor, the interdisciplinary minor, and the other was to discontinue the post-baccalaureate certificate. And the first things I said about that, I believe that very, very strongly, that these courses, I think, the course